What's poppin', everybody? This is Saber4, bringing you guys Pokemon sets from past formats. It seems every time I make one of these set reviews, I always have to say that it's been forever since the last one. Let's not get into that, but today we're finally going to be looking at the 15th EX series set, and it is going to be EX Dragon Frontiers. So if you check out this little trivia text here from Cerebi, you get some very interesting information. This is going to be well, besides the reprint set, this is technically the 15th set, not the last set. But because EX Power Keepers is also half a reprint set and it also includes some new cards, you could say this is the sort of last pure EX set with 100% original cards. But this is the 15th, the uh, the set before the last one, EX Power Keepers, and it has a lot of Delta Species Pokemon once again. Now, because the Delta Species Pokemon that appear in the setting for this set are supposed to be like the pure ones, the natural ones on the island, they're supposed to be. There are no dual type Delta Species Pokemon. They're all a single type. So that's pretty cool. There are only 4 non-Delta Species Pokemon according to what Cerebi says here. So that's very interesting. And this is indeed a very cool set. Dragon Frontiers. It has a lot to do with dragons, of course. You'll see a lot of dragon-like Pokemon, a bunch of Dragon EXs. Cool set for sure. And some of the gold stars here are some of the hottest, if not the hottest. But let's get down with it. I'm going to go over to the bottom and we check the EX Pokemon first, and the gold stars and the trainers. So let's go ahead and go down. We have a lot of EXs. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 EXs, Jesus. And this is only an 101 card set. So a lot of them very cool ones. I mean, just so many of them. Okay, first of all is this Altaria EX. This is a Delta Species EX Altaria. We have this one and another one that's colorless in another set. I don't remember. I think it was Emerald. But very cool. I own this card. I made sure to buy most of these cards. You're an EX, 100 HP, 1 retreat, double resistance to grass and fighting, which is handy. So the stats are pretty solid overall. The problem is, of course, the colorless weakness. Thanks to some certain cards in that era, having the colorless weakness was a big problem for Dragon Pokemon. But you get a good Poke Power and a solid attack on this Pokemon. You have extra boost. Once during your turn, before you attack, you may attach a basic energy card from your hand to one of your Stage 2 Pokemon EX. And of course, this power can't be used if Altaria is affected by special condition. So this is almost like a mini little Rain Dance energy acceleration, but you can do any basic energy. So it can be grass, fire, water, anything, any type, as long as it's basic and as long as it's on a Stage 2 Pokemon EX. So it's kind of limiting in a way the condition, the Pokemon you can attach the energy to, but it's still a very good effect. If you use this Pokemon with another Stage 2 Dragon EX, for example, or other Pokemon, there's bound to be a lot of combos you can do with a Pokemon like this. So it's really nice. Getting Stage 1 and Stage 2 Pokemon out was quite easy back then, so it's not unheard of for you to get like a bunch of these, like even just 2, and then get a double extra energy acceleration every turn. Very nice. So definitely a good Poke Power. And Healing Light, its attack is 60 for 3, but you also remove 1 damage card from each of your Pokemon. Now this is very good mass healing. It's not just remove 1 from Altaria, it's from everybody. So this is going to do some good sort of a negating for your opponent's spread tactics if they want to spread damage counters through Pokemon. You know, this is going to help you out a lot. Just mitigate that. It's just a lot of healing if you have a bunch of hurt dudes. I mean, even if you just heal a damage counter on Altaria, it's still kind of decent. It's like you're doing 70 damage total between the damage you inflict and you heal. So it's just a very solid Pokemon all around. I like it very much. You know, water, Delta Species, Altaria. It's really fitting, really nice. So definitely one of my favorite EXs here, indeed. Next up we got Dragonite EX. This one is more, I guess, it screams more competitive. If I didn't forget, yeah, it has indeed the definite attack. So stage 2 EX, this one is actually one of the unique dragon Pokemon. Just like Rayquaza in here, they don't have a weakness. This one doesn't have a weakness, doesn't have any resistance, and the retreat is at 2. But it's just an amazing sort of merit to not have any weakness, especially to colorless. And you can do Deafen for 2 colorless energy. Your opponent can't play any trainer cards except for supported cards from his or her hand during your opponent's next turn. So this is pretty fantastic. This is basically Seismitoad EX's attack for you newer hats out there. Uh, Manectric's attack too from the same era. It's even stronger considering they can't even play stadiums, only supporters. So it's going to cover a lot of ground. Just 2 energy, you also do a respectable 40 damage. You can ask for a much better cheap attack, definitely. Now, because this is a stage 2 Pokemon and Manectric could pretty much do the same thing as a stage 1, could utilize Mew better too. This Pokemon you could say is outclassed a bit in this regard. But if you want to do the Deafen tactic, block trainers, your opponent's trainers, and have a beefier Pokemon that's grass, more HP, no weakness as well, then maybe you can do this. Because, however, item lock, just trainer lock, is all about speed, getting the lock early. If your opponent gets a few turns to play trainers, then your tactic is weakened. This is why using a Pokemon like Manectric, it's faster as a stage 1, but still very good first attack. Dragon Roar, you need 2 grass energy and 2 colorless. You put 8 damage counters on the defending Pokemon. If that Pokemon will be knocked out by this attack, put any damage counters not necessary to knock out the defending Pokemon on your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like. So pretty much this is like 80 for 4, and it's through an effect. It's not actual damage of an attack. So this can have benefits and downsides. But the good news is, with the other effect of this attack, is that if you're going to knock out the Pokemon anyway, so let's say you only need to do like 50 damage as opposed to 80 to knock it out, you can get the other 3, put them on your opponent's bench in any way you like. So it's a handy attack. I mean, 80 damage total for 4 energy probably isn't the greatest, but it's kind of standard, you could say, when you have that extra effect too, letting you spread them around. So, nice little Pokemon. Deafen is definitely the better attack here, but another excellent stage too. I own this card as well. It kind of has a misprint. It's kind of has like printing errors. The way it was printed, a bit defectively. The holographic art looks kind of fucked up, but it's near mint, so very nice. Uh, Moving on. Another competitive one. We got this Flygon EX here. We had a lot of Flygon EXs, man. Like it probably got the most EXs in the era, if I think about it. Like 3 of them. You get 2 Flygon EXs, regular ones, and this Delta Species one. If I'm not missing anybody else. I think there's a Grass Delta Species too, but it's not an EX, I believe. So this Flygon EX does a lot of the stuff you would expect from a Flygon card if you're familiar with them. It has a good body that's going to do some damage counter spreading shenanigans. Sand damage, as long as Flygon EX is your active Pokemon, you put 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's bench basic Pokemon between turns. You can't use more than 1 sand damage Pokebody between turns. So even though it's got to be active, they made sure you can't do some sort of a switching shit where you switch in between turns and you can get the effect like 2 times or something. There's probably some combos, but nevertheless you can only get this Pokebody once during a turn, but it's still pretty powerful. Most of the best Pokemon were evolved, but spreading against basic Pokemon it's still quite strong. You're going to deal a lot of damage, and it's just a Pokebody. And Psychic Pulse, you do 80 for 3, and does 10 damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon that has any damage counters on it. Damn, so wait a minute, does 10 damage to each of your opponents? Wow, so it's even going to spread on them. So when you look at this attack, it definitely is stronger than something like Dragonite's 1, doing 80 for 4. This you can do 80 for 3, and you're going to spread even more. So yeah, definitely a stronger attack. Essentially, you can basically do upwards to, let's see, 130 damage total if you're going to hit everybody on the bench too. Like if all of them are basic Pokemon with damage counters, you can do 130 damage total, which is insane. Nevertheless, even if you do 80 and just spread a few more damage counters, it's very good. This is also another one of those dragons that doesn't have a weakness, which is awesome. Is like these sort of legendary dragon Pokemon immune to shit, loyalists, anyway, whatever. So 150 HP is quite good. Uh, no weakness, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about the weakness of a psychic dude like this. Once again, the 2 retreat cost, just excellent Pokemon all around, especially when you don't have a weakness. And you always have to remember, the Delta species Pokemon had a lot more support to go with them. Just a lot of exclusive shit they could take advantage of. Some of them we even have in this set. Gonna look at them later. Alright, but this was definitely a competitive Pokemon. It's in a World Championship deck for the time. Speaking of championship shit, we got this Gardevoir EX2. This is a top EX for sure. Gardevoir EX, Delta species, fire Pokemon, 150 HP. This one does have a weakness to Psychic, but the rest of this shit is top notch. Imprison, once during your turn before you attack, if Gardevoir EX is your active Pokemon, you may put an Imprison marker on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Any Pokemon that has any Imprison markers on it can't use any Pokepowers or Pokebodies. This power can't be used if Gardevoir is affected by special condition. So this is some more advanced, complicated ass shit, but back then, we did have a few of these. I think this might be like the first set where we had these marker things that were like, you get like the theme decks or something, and you get like an extra marker that has to do with this imprison shit. But yes, you put that marker on an opponent's Pokemon, and they can't use any Pokepowers or Pokebodies. So this covers so much ground. I mean, you essentially have the option to block a Pokemon every turn, and it's going to be forever once you do this sort of effect. Crazy. And then Flame Ball, you do 80 for 3, and then you may move a fire energy attached to Gardevoirs to one of your bench Pokemon. So energy conservation too. Just a perfect Pokemon. There's so many good Gardevoir Pokemon in that era, just some of the best. You can combine this with Gardevoir EX, Gardevoir from EX Ruby and Sapphire, the Delta species Gardevoir. I mean, Jason Klasinski has a top deck, Gardevoir deck in that era that basically combines all of these Gardevoir cards together. Like at least 3 to 4 different ones. So if you're a Gardevoir lover and you want the Gardevoir deck with the biggest flexibility, the biggest variety of different Gardevoir cards, that deck is going to be for you. Check his articles, check the WordPress page. It is one of the stronger decks in that era, according to him. A top deck. Yeah. So very good card once again. Man, all of the X's so far we've seen are just great. I mean, Altaria is great. Dragonite, Flygon, Gardevoir, Kindra. I'm pretty sure this one is strong too from what I remember. So let's see. A fighting Kindra. Pretty cool, you gotta admit. So this one has 140 HP, a little bit on the lower side, you could say, but it's still decent. You get only 1 retreat cost, lightning weakness. You can do extra smoke. Any damage done to your stage 2 Pokemon, stage 2 Pokemon EX, down to your stage 2 Pokemon EX by your opponent's attacks is reduced by 10. So I guess basically you have this little bit of extra defense. That's why they gave it 140 HP. And this ability should stack. It doesn't say that it doesn't stack. So if you get a bunch of these Kindra X's out, you're going to block a lot of damage counters. I mean, even if you block 20 every turn, it's pretty big. And then you've got 2 attacks, Energy Link. You do 40 for 2, and then you search your disc for an energy, attach it to Kindra. So good, get that energy acceleration on itself. And then Protective Swirl, you can do 80 damage for 3, and then Kindra X has no weakness during your opponent's next turn. So just a lot of useful mini effects all around. Get an energy with Energy Link, you're ready to go for Protective Swirl. You're more likely going to be able to tank a hit thanks to his high HP and extra smoke. Then you can do 80 damage and not even attach an extra energy. So, and then you've got no weakness too. So, a lot of good stuff. I don't believe this Pokemon did have any super competitive decks. I mean, it's good enough. Most of the cards in the EX era are just good enough if they're not super top tier. So you can use them and find some success. The thing is, though, is that it's not like, let's say, Flygon or Gardevoir, where it just screams pro. Uh, but a very good Pokemon. I like as well. Nice art, fighting Kindra. You can't go wrong with that. And then we got one of my favorites, Latias and Latios here. I spent a lot of money to get these. Got Latias EX, a Fire Delta species, quite fitting. You know, being red, and Latios is blue, so it's gonna be water. Cool shit. You got 100 HP. You do have a weakness, and you have a double retreat cost, so that's a bit sad. But you have a Fellow Boost. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic energy card from your hand to Latias, Latias EX, Latios, or Latios EX. And if you do, your turn ends. Its power can't be used if Latias, yeah, affected by special condition. So this ability is kind of good, but it's just sad that you gotta end your turn. So this is only good if you play like first, if you can't attack anyway, if you're in the process of setting up, like really early in the game, then maybe it's okay. Especially if you get like a bunch of these out. It's only a basic Pokemon too, so I guess it's kind of balanced that, having that sort of energy acceleration and just the basic. It was going to be very strong back then. And if you want to build like a Latios deck, you know, you're probably going to need her, give you that energy acceleration. And then Power Crush, 90 for 3, and if the defending Pokemon is knocked out by this attack, you discard 2 fire energies attached to Latias EX. Now, if you don't knock it out, you don't discard anything, so this is pretty strong. 90 for 3. This is just a basic EX Pokemon too, so it's quite high damage output. Really nice. I like it. I really like the art, the sort of fire thing in the background. Just the whole concept of a fire Latias is super cool. Is it the best EX here? Probably not, but it's nice. You got to remember that the basic EX Pokemon back then had a lot more risk, but they were also much faster since they were basic. Alright, what about Latios? I think this guy is better, but I'll have to see. I might even be wrong. So you got the same sort of stats, that 100 HP, that psychic weakness, and a double retreat cost. You got Link Wing. The retreat cost for each of your Latias, Latias EX, Latios, and Latios EX is 0. So this is essentially, you get free retreat for yourself, which is great, and you're going to give free retreat to everybody else that are Latis. So that's nice, very useful body for sure. And then Ice Barrier, prevent all effects of an attack, including damage done to Latios EX by your opponent's Pokemon EX during the next turn. So very, very strong indeed. You do 30, and you're going to block EX Pokemon against him. So a lot of playability, you know, blocking out those EX Pokemon. It's going to be troublesome for your opponent. You do decent damage too. Just excellent, man. If only the new Latios GX they released was also as good as this one, for fuck's sake. And then Hydro Splash, it's just 60 for 3, but if you want to do like decent damage, just decent vanilla damage, then this could be okay. It's a basic Pokemon, you gotta remember. You're not going to see basic EX Pokemon doing like more than 60 when it comes to vanilla damage for 3 energies and shit. I just don't think so. There might be like maybe one that can do like 70, that doesn't come to mind, but I don't think so. So pretty fair, pretty balanced out, very nice. Just good body, good attacks. Can't go wrong with Latios. It's just more useful, I guess, as a mono Pokemon to use compared to Latias. You get your free retreat on yourself. You can block EXs. Great. And then we got Rayquaza, the competitive one. Man, it's sad to say it, but probably the weakest one is going to be the Salamence that I really love here. But Rayquaza EX is up first. So I talked about this card a few times, or at least one time in the Evolutions deck analysis I made a while back. This Pokemon is just excellent, just an excellent Pokemon in that deck and in general. You got 110 HP on a basic EX. You cannot ask for better shit like this. You get no weakness, double retreat, just perfect stats all around. And just everything about this Pokemon is great. Lightning type is great. Delta species, you get that extra support. You've got Special Circuit and Sky High Claws. They're good attacks, and they get even better with Rage Aura. So Special Circuit, for 2 energies, you choose one of your opponent's Pokemon, you do 30 damage to that Pokemon. So it's a snipe. And if you choose a Pokemon that has a Poke Power or Poke Body, you do 50. So 50 damage snipe. So pretty good for 2 energies. Sky High cost, the 70 for 4. This one doesn't look as good, but it's decent. But the reason why these attacks become just even better is because of Rage Aura, this guy's body. If you have more prize cards left than your opponent, you're going to ignore all colorless energy necessary to use Rayquaza CX's attacks, Special Circuit, and Sky High Claws. So you can basically do 1 for 50 snipe on Pokemon with Poke Bodies and Poke Powers. 2 for 70, you do Sky High Claws. And it's just super strong Pokemon, man. Just super cheap, fast, easy to use EX Pokemon. That just worked perfectly in a deck like the Evolutions, where you spread damage around. You're not going to get any prizes, and you take advantage of Rage Aura. You take advantage of Rocket's Admin and other cards. Just really good, really strategic deck that is going to screw over your opponent. You know, put the damage on them, spread the damage around, not kill them outright. But then all of a sudden, you're just knocking out a bunch of Pokemon at once. Is very good. And this Rayquaza X was definitely a top Pokemon. Uh, you can use it in many decks, pretty much. It worked the best with the evolutions, Pokemon like Jolteon EX, the Jolteon Gold Star, and other cards. But it's just a very good EX on its own. You guys can see, just raw power, raw damage, great stats, perfect. I would say, I mean, it's kind of tough to say if it's the best EX because Gardevoir is pretty good, Flygon is pretty good, but it might be like the most successful at the very least. Next tab we got my personal favorite, even though it's one of the weaker ones, unfortunately. I mean, it's not weak, but it's just it didn't see the competitive success of other ones on this set. So the artwork is top dog. It's actually crazy because when I was like a young kid, I didn't like the Salamence EX much compared to the other ones because it just didn't do that 150 damage. It had that sort of crazy damage output because I was kind of a noob back then. I just wanted to see big numbers and that was good enough for me. But it's actually one of the easier ones to use and you can do a lot of tricks with it, mainly because of its ability to type shift. But its stats are pretty good. You get 160 HP as an Stage 2 EX. You get that double resistance of fire and fighting, which is useful. The problem is, once again, that weakness, colorless weakness. I mean, it's just so fucking sad. They gave the other ones no weakness, like Flygon and shit. And they give this guy the weakness. It's just so unfair. I mean, anyways, I guess we get that double resistance too. This one has type shift. So with type shift, every turn you can change this Pokemon from water into fire. So between the water and the fire type this Pokemon could be, you are going to get a lot of coverage when it comes to hitting things for weakness. So its attacks, even though they seem a bit weak, they get a bit better. So Claw Swipe is just 60 for 3. It's kind of pathetic to be honest, but if you can hit for weakness, 120 for 3 is very good. And then Dual Stream, this attack does 80 damage, but you have the option to do 40 damage instead of 80, and then you do 40 damage to an opponent's bench Pokemon, so kind of spread the damage around. Now, this Pokemon really is all about the type shift. If you can't be hitting Pokemon for weakness, then his damage isn't the greatest, to be honest. If you can hit Pokemon for weakness, then doing 160, doing 120, you know, it's really good. But if you can't, then it's a bit weak. So that's why I guess, you know, the sort of type shift Poke Power, it's its only trademark. You gotta take advantage of that if you're gonna do a lot of damage. Now, between the coverage of hitting being water and fire, you're probably gonna be able to hit a lot of different Pokemon for weakness. Like I did a little calculation in my top 10 Salamence cards. Spoiler alert, this card is in there. And you can hit quite a few things and get one-hit knockouts on a lot of the EXs from that era if you use this Pokemon. Alright. Had to pause there for a second because of all the noise, but nevertheless. Moving on, Salamence EX. When it comes to the artwork, when it comes to the card as a holo, it's just great. Uh, it's pretty good, but not the greatest. The other EXs are probably stronger for the most part here. And then the last one, we get Tyranitar EX. I had the chance to buy this card, but I missed it as an auction. I think did I buy it in the end? I don't remember. I might have it, but I might not. I know that I just missed out on an auction with this. I bid on it, but eventually I just had to let it go. It's a Lightning EX Delta Species Pokemon, 150 HP. It does have a weakness to Grass and a big 3 retreat cost, but it's got 3 attacks, and all of them are pretty damn good. So once again with the markers here, the first attack, Electromark, you place a Shockwave marker on one of your opponent's Pokemon. So yeah, like on the last minute, on the semi-last set, they decided to do these marker things. But yeah, place a Shockwave marker on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and then you can do Hyper Claws for 3. If any Pokemon is a Stage 2 evolved Pokemon, this attack does 90 damage for 3. And if not, just 70 for 3, it's still respectable. And then Shockwave for 3, 2 Lightning and 1 Colorless. Shockwave, choose one of your opponent's Pokemon that has any Shockwave markers on it, that Pokemon is knocked out. So a bit of a gimmick, I guess. In a two-turn attack, you use Electromark and then Shockwave. You can basically knock out any Pokemon as long as your opponent doesn't do something like put it back in the hand with, not Professor, what's it called? Briney's Compassion. It was basically the Acerola of back then, the AZ of back then. If they didn't remove it somehow, just get rid of it from the field, you could just knock it out the next turn. Even if it was a Wailord EX, you were going to knock it out with the Shockwave. But it's more of a gimmick. I wouldn't risk it, to be honest. And it makes those attacks kind of a waste. Just 2 attacks wasted. Hyper Claws is your reliable attack. You probably want to use that. Just do 70 damage. And more than likely, you were going to be dealing with a Stage 2 evolved Pokemon, and you can do 90 for 3. It could have been a lot better, a lot more room for improvement, but I guess they decided to do the mark thing, Shockwave marker thing. I mean, if your opponent doesn't just move the Pokemon out of the way, you can essentially get like a 2-hit knockout guaranteed. So if you're dealing with like a big 160 HP Stage 2 EX, it's like you're doing 80 damage per turn, but I don't know, to be honest. It just seems like Hyper Claws is the only reliable attack here. Collectability wise, this card is kind of expensive. It does have a little bit of a iconic art as I remember it. I think it might be decent in some decks. Maybe Jason does have it in a few decks where you use other Tyranidars and you use this as a tech, but I don't remember exactly. Uh, Anyways, moving on. So these are all the EXs. For the most part, even the lesser ones, like maybe Salamence and Tyranitar, ironically, the ones at the bottom, they're very good. All of them just very nice EXs. This is towards the end of the era, so you can kind of feel the power creep. Anyways, we've got a few gold stars too. So 2 gold stars, and these ones are some of the hottest ones, if not the hottest ones. You get this black shiny Charizard and the new gold star Mew. So this might be indeed, like, besides Rayquaza, I'd say some of the most expensive. I think they might be like the most expensive besides Rayquaza gold star. But yeah, I mean, this Charizard, the black one, they also made it dark. It's a gold star Delta species, so they're very unique in this regard as well. Cool shit. You got rotating claws. You may discard an energy attached to Charizard. If you do, set your discard pile for an energy card. Besides the one you discard and attach it. So I guess what you can do is discard like a basic energy maybe and get a special dark. Kind of silly, but I guess you can do it. 20 for 2. And then Dark Swell, this is your crazy attack. It needs 5 darkness energy. Oh no, 5 energy. 4 of them need to be dark. And you do 150, and you discard all energy attached to Charizard and discard the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. So a hefty ass cost, but if you manage to pull this attack off, not only will you blast something in the face and knock it out, you discard the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. So strong ass attack if you do pull it off. iconic art. This is one of the most expensive cards because it is the only sort of, you could say, I mean, there's only one Charizard Gold Star, and this is it. You know, Delta Species 2, Secret Rare. Secret Rare of Secret Rares. This is super expensive. But now that I think about it, now that I look at the set number, it's actually, it doesn't go over the set. So, I wonder, I don't know exactly what the ratios are to pull one of these gold stars, but it's still going to be difficult, and this card is still going to be super expensive. It's your first gold star. And then we got the new, this one, Delta Species, Blue, Water Pokemon, Gold Star Mew. You got 70 HP, you got Mimicry, whatever. Choose an attack on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Mimicry copies that attack. This attack does nothing if Mew doesn't have the necessary energy to use the attack. So I guess if you have the necessary energies, you can copy any attack. But because you need the required energies, you probably won't always be able to copy your opponent's best attacks. And Rainbow Wave, choose a basic energy card attached to Mew Gold Star. This attack does 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon that is the same type as the basic energy card that you chose. So choose a basic energy card attached to Mew. Yeah, so you need a water to use this, but you can choose another one that's attached and just spread damage to that particular type. So I believe this is a decent gold star to run in some decks. I can't remember on top of my head here, but your best bet is just to look at Jason's articles about this era. This one does have some competitive uses, I would say. Charizard is probably more difficult because of all those darkness energies you need. Both of them, though, definitely super expensive, for sure. It's the one takeaway, if you're going to get a takeaway from this, is that they're super expensive. Okay, and now let's look at the, well, you know what, I'm in the area, so let's look at the trainers as I always do. Most of them are reprints, I think. You got this buffer piece. I think this card, we've seen this before in maybe EX Deoxys, the EX Deoxys set, I could be wrong, but one of those sets, it might be the Emerald set. You attach this to one of your Pokemon and it's gonna block 20 damage of your opponent's attack. Then you discard this at the end of the turn, nevertheless. You got the Copycat reprint, you guys know what this does. You got the Hull-On supporters reprints, you got the Hull-On Mentor, you got Mr. Stone's Project reprint, Professor Elm's training method, Professor Oak's research. I think some of them might be original cards. Did Oak's research come out in this set, or I'm gonna check on it? But we've got TV Reporter, we got Switch, we got the Boost Energy reprint, Rainbow Energy Delta Species. You know what? Let's look at these cards because not all of them are reprints. You got Hull-On Legacy. This is an original stadium from this set. So it looks super fly. I own this card. Each Pokemon in play that has Delta Species on it has no weaknesses and can't use any Poke Powers. So you can use this to sort of as an anti-meta card against your opponent to prevent them from using Poke Powers, but you can also use it to eliminate the weaknesses of your own dudes. So it's got a nice little advanced effect going for it, advanced usage from it. So it's pretty cool. Love cards like these. So good stadium. Then we got the Hull-On Hamito from Kenichi. History's Strongest Disciple Kenichi. Check that anime out if you like martial arts. Martial arts shows, that show is going to be your shit. But Island Hermit, choose up to 2 of your prize cards and put them face up. Then you can draw 2 cards, and those prize cards are going to remain face up. So this might have some uses, I guess, if you want to see the prize cards. Your opponent's going to be able to see them too, so they know what you grab. But you also draw 2 cards, so it's not like it's completely useless. You just do this and you don't get any card advantage. So decent, I guess, if you want to use it. Not really, but maybe there's some uses if you want to reveal your prize cards. Stone's Project is a reprint card, and then we got Old Rod. I don't remember if this was released in any other set, but what you do is you flip 2 coins. If both are heads, you search your discard pile for a basic revolution, put it in your hand. If both are tails, you get a trainer card and put it into your hand. That's interesting. If both are heads and if both are tails, so if one of them is tails and one of them is heads, you don't get shit. I think that's what the effect is. They gotta be both tails for you to get a trainer, and they gotta be both heads for you to get a Pokemon. So yeah, it's kind of like a shittier VS Seeker and Stretcher in one card, you could say. Pokemon Rescue in one card. Could have some uses. It's only a trainer. And we got Oak's Research. I think this, yeah, shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw 5 cards. This is, yeah, Professor Oak's new theory, like the original version. I think we get this in Fire and Leaf Green or in Unseen Forces, the original card. I could be wrong though. Maybe it appeared over here for the first time. It's not the good draw 6, it's the Shana effect, but back then it was still strong, I would say. You could still use it. Then we got the Strength Charm. What do you do? Whenever an attack from the Pokemon that Strength Charm is attached to does damage to the active Pokemon, the attack does 10 more damage. So this is like a muscle band for one turn. I believe we did get this too in EX Emerald, I think. You got Switch, you got Hollow Energy, FF, and GL. These ones got released in the original Delta Species set, I think. Basically what they do is uh, it provides, if the Pokemon Hollow Energy FF is attached to is also has basic fire energies, it doesn't have a weakness. And if it also has basic fighting, its attacks aren't affected by resistance. You get these sort of effects with these special energies. And yeah, I'm pretty sure these might be like newer ones, or they just might be the same ones from the original Delta Species set. Delta Species Rainbow Energy. This one, while attached to a Pokemon that has Delta Species, provides every energy but one at a time. Yeah, we got this in. You get it in both of these cool theme decks, but we also get this in Hollow Phantoms, I think. And Scramble Energy, oh my god. So this might be the original Scramble Energy. I always forget if this got released in this set or another set, but this is definitely a super competitive card. Shaped the metagame back then. I think we did get this in EX Deoxys. I could be fucking wrong again, but yeah. What you do with this is if your opponent has more prize cards than you, Scramble Energy provides every type of energy and provides 3 at the time. But it has to be an evolved Pokemon. Otherwise, it's if the Pokemon isn't an evolved Pokemon or evolves into a Pokemon EX, discard Scramble Energy. So, so I guess it can be a basic Pokemon as long as it evolves into a Pokemon EX. Interesting. The thing is that you gotta use it with evolved Pokemon. I guess the simple term is, but it was definitely a super competitive card. We've seen this before. I just can't put my finger on it, but I think it was in another set. I think I talked about this already. One of those broken special energies though. But let's go look at the actual set because you get a lot of useful cards in here, just regular cards and some good artwork too. You get this Ampharos Delta Species. This one can do a lot of shit. You got Holland Veil. Treat each basic Pokemon and evolution card in your deck. Discard your hand as Delta Species Pokemon. So this transforms every Pokemon as Delta Species Pokemon. In your deck though, in your field and all that shit. You got Delta Circle. For 3 energies, you do 20 damage plus 10 more for each Pokemon you have in play that has Delta Species. So you can definitely make a competitive deck with this card. Check Jason's list of decks. This was definitely strong. You can do a lot of combos when all of your Pokemon are Delta Species. And we got this for Alligator. Takes me back. Check that out in the TCG overview with for Alligator. Man, I miss those videos so much. I want to make them again. This guy has Battle Aura, and all of your Delta Species Pokemon will do 10 more damage to defending Pokemon. So this is pretty good. This also stacks, so if you get a bunch of these out, you can boost your Feraligator's damage. You can boost any other Delta Species Pokemon you have in play, the damage you do. And its mediocre attacks can become very strong. So it's very nice. Dracoff is also a useful attack too. So another good stage 2 Delta Species Pokemon. And we got Heracross. This one doesn't... I don't think... What the fuck do you do? Do you do anything? As long as Heracross is the only Pokemon you have in play, your opponent's basic Pokemon can attack. So it does have some sort of lock-in ability. And Extra Claws. It's going to do 50 damage to a Pokemon EX. So not bad. Another decent basic Pokemon. You got this Meganium Delta Species. Evolutionary Call. When you play Meganium to evolve, you may search your deck for up to 3 in any combination of basic or evolution Pokemon. Put them into your hand. So when you evolve into this, this is like a Pokemon collector basically, and you can grab anything, not just basic Pokemon. It's pretty nice. It's also gonna resist damage from Delta Reduction. Any Pokemon, not just Delta Pokemon. You block 30 and then you do 40. Not bad. So really nice fighting Meganium Delta Species. Milotic. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. This one is fire. And you can do sharing. Once during your turn, you may look at your opponent's hand. You may choose the effect of a supported card you find there and use it. And you can't use more than one sharing power per turn. So this is a more broken ability of Smiracles from Undaunted. You can copy an opponent's supporter in hand. And it doesn't even have to be active. You can do this from the bench too. So very, very fly. Fire Melodic. Just an excellent, excellent card. Artwork. Ah, man, no era is going to top this for me. Just no era at all. You got these Nido Queens and Nido Kings here. Well, one of each. This one is just a dark dude. You may discard a basic Pokemon or Evolution card from your hand, and you can do 60 damage and 20 damage spread. Linear attack. Okay, this guy doesn't seem very good. What about Nido Queen? Invitation. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a basic Pokemon or Evolution card, show it to your opponent, and put it into your hand. Wow, pretty good. So this, you can grab basically anything. Basic Pokemon or Evolution card. So it's not as good as Pidgeot, because Pidgeot lets you get any card you want. But this one, you get a good attack, I think. Vengeance does 30 damage plus 10 more damage for each basic Pokemon and Evolution card in your discard pile. You can add more than 60 damage this way, but even if you do 90 damage for 3, it's pretty strong. So yeah, I think we do have some other... Yeah, of course, you can use this in Queendom if you want to. It's definitely going to help out Queendom. Nido Queen from Fire and Leaf Green was pretty strong, and you can use this to help you get Pokemon too. So it's awesome. Very nice indeed. Ninetales Delta Species. What do you do? Volunteer. You may remove 4 damage counters from Ninetales and discard Ninetales from Vulpix. If you do, search your deck for Ninetales or Ninetales EX, put it onto Vulpix. Wow. And then Trick Tail. You do 30 for 2, and then you grab an energy attached to one of your Pokemon. Cool. You got Snorlax, you got Togetic, Typhlosion. I mean, I'm probably going to have to be all day to look at all these cards, but let's look at Dugong. Covered this in the TCG overview too. This guy has Delta Protection. It's a Delta Species Pokemon, but it's going to prevent... it's going to take 40 less damage from any Delta Species Pokemon that attacks it, so it's pretty good. With Surge, if this guy has 2 water energies on, it can do 60 damage too, so not bad. 60 for 3. A good Dugong card. And what else do we have? We have a lot of clay arts, as you guys can see, looking very nice. This crocodile here. Look at this Flaffy. Uh, you got this Chica Reader right here. Ekans. Yeah, I own a lot of these cards. I bought them, and they're pretty cool, man. But I think this should be it. I don't want to make this videos too long. This is gonna be the last, well, the semi last. I'm just looking for a word. I can't remember it, and I say semi last like it's a word. But this is the semi last sort of EX set. We only have EX Power Keepers left, which used to be my #1 favorite. Now I have trouble deciding, but it's still one of my favorites, which is also a reprint set. So this might indeed be it's the last sort of pure set of the EX era. Just very, very cool indeed. There's probably some other great cards that I missed, but we can't cover everything unless we're going to be here all day. You got the Swallow Deadless pieces too, which wasn't so great. Just gives your Stage 2 Pokemon EX free retreat. Probably not too useful to run a Stage 1 line. But I hope you guys enjoyed this set review. Hope you guys really enjoyed this series. It's coming down to a close. I really hoped I was going to be able to record these last two sets, Dragon Frontiers and EX Power Keepers, with the new headset that I ordered for better sound quality, better sort of microphone quality. But there's just a lot of bullshit happened with that purchase. It was the defective one, then it wasn't defective. Just a lot of shit going down. I'm still in the process of maneuvering through that shit. So still using the old Logitech one. But nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys subscribe, leave a like, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe to my channel for all sorts of Pokemon TCG content, retro and contemporary. After the EX era sets, I already know what the next set review series is going to be. And I really just hope you guys enjoy the content. Thank you guys for watching. Sabro94, and what's up?